This is how it is with insomnia. Everything is so far away. A copy of a copy of a copy. The insomnia distance of everything. You can't touch anything and nothing can touch you. Welcome back, miners. My name's Nathan Asbell and I'm a clinician here at Student Wellbeing.
My name is Amber Johnston and I'm also a clinician here at Student Wellbeing, and it's time for your morning cup of joe. That quote was from the narrator from Fight Club, and today it's time to talk about sleep and sleep hygiene. So in the movie Fight Club, the narrator, who is the voice of the author Chuck, is battling with insomnia, and he's having difficulties with depression, anxiety, and is even starting to have some hallucinations. And he's got some other mental health issues going on too, but today we're going to talk about his insomnia. Depression and anxiety can cause difficulties in falling asleep, but they can also be a side effect of lack of sleep. And not saying you will experience anything quite so dramatic as the narrator does in Fight Club. But again, pop culture often shows us overly dramatized versions of real life struggles.
Right. Well, part of the problem, I think, with sleep and having lack of sleep is that it causes a lot of stress on the brain, which can then lead to exacerbating of anxiety and depression. Lack of sleep, the amount of sleep we need, varies person to person and by age. But generally, we need around 7 hours a night. Lack of sleep over 24 hours can reduce hand-eye coordination to the same degree as a breath alcohol content of 0.1, which is over the legal limit for driving in the state of Missouri. You can imagine your impairment could be the same as if you were over the legal limit for driving. That's kind of a scary thought. It's kind of a scary issue. So you would be facing the world at a disadvantage, and that could be quite difficult, especially as a college student. So here are some of the things that occur as side effects from having difficulties with sleep. First of all, it can cause memory issues. We know that sleep and dreaming help with encoding of memories, and not getting enough sleep can cause you difficulties remembering things. Trouble concentrating, reduced alertness. I know that as a student, whenever I was struggling with getting enough sleep, I'd have difficulty staying in class or focusing. Mood changes, being angry, cranky, lethargic, depressed, or anxious.
It can cause decreased coordination, and it can result in more accidents. And people run into things more often. It can increase accidents while driving. It can weaken your immune system, and you're more susceptible to getting sick and having the sicknesses that you do get be worse. It can cause high blood pressure and an increase for diabetes. It can even result in weight gain, increased cortisol, and increased craving for carbohydrates. You know how when you're tired, you just want to eat? That's our body trying to keep ourselves awake. So we often eat in order to keep ourselves awake, and we can get weight gain over time.
Sometimes not getting enough sleep can decrease your sex drive. So that's a reduction in libido. Increased risk of heart disease. Microsleeps or just nodding off. I don't know if you've ever been in class and just suddenly nodded off and then woke yourself up really quickly as your head dipped down. And sometimes it's fun to watch other people doing that, but that's a sign of sleep deprivation. Poor judgment, decreased situational awareness, lack of motivation, forgetfulness, errors in judgment, and poor impulse control. Now that we've talked a lot about the different things that can happen to us whenever we don't get enough sleep, what are the causes?
So some of the causes for having sleep deprivation is an irregular sleep schedule. Especially with college students, it becomes an issue because we have different deadlines, and we might stay up and pull an all-nighter to study for a test or to finish a project. We have different social obligations and different activities, work, those kind of things going on that keep us from getting to bed at a regular time. And then to compensate, we sleep later the next day and throws off our whole sleep schedule. So just having that irregular sleep schedule can really affect our sleep. Stress and anxiety. Stress and anxiety pretty much go hand in hand with being a college student. We experience stress, we can't let something go because we've got a project due, we're laying down, we're trying to sleep, and all the things we need to do keep running through our head, and we can't get to sleep because we can't get our mind clear. Depression. Depression can cause us to either A, sleep too much, or B, not sleep enough. So often with depression, you'll find people who sleep irregular hours, or you'll find people who go to sleep and then wake up frequently, or they'll sleep for extended, really long, super long periods of time. You can also have sleep conditions. Conditions where you sleep can also affect how well you sleep. It could be too noisy, there could be too much light, there could be too much movement. If you sleep in a dorm, there could be people moving around out in the hallway, the vibration of the floor, somebody could be playing music outside. Anything could be happening that's interrupting your ability to sleep or sleep well. Another one that can affect you is sleep apnea, which is when you stop breathing when you're sleeping, and this can be a serious medical condition and needs to be addressed by a doctor. Illnesses can also affect your ability to sleep. So if you have any kind of sickness, or you've come down with a cold, or you have anything happening there, it can affect your ability to sleep, and not only quality of sleep, but duration and the ability to fall asleep. And then lastly, we have sleep disorders, and those also need to be addressed by a doctor, and they can vary in different types, and they have sleep clinics that can help diagnose them that the doctor can refer you to.
All right, now let's talk about how it looks. So first of all, it could look a lot like Jack in Fight Club, where you're just not able to go to sleep and you just stay up for extended amounts of time. And oftentimes we fill that time doing different things, maybe watching TV, maybe scrolling through Facebook, maybe being on YouTube or Instagram or TikTok or whatever social media you have going on in your life. Maybe it's that you are just going about and going for walks or something along those lines. But typically it's like you just can't go to sleep. The second way it looks is waking up multiple times a night. So that could be because of night terrors. It could be because of bad dreams. It could be because noises keep you up. It could be because you're just not able to stay asleep for some other unknown reason. It could be for some of the other causes listed above: illness, sleep apnea, sleep disorders, some kind of depression or anxiety or stress that keeps waking you up and doesn't allow you to get sufficient, deep, good sleep. Another part of it could be waking up and not being able to get back to sleep. So perhaps your roommate comes in late one night and they close the door a little bit hard and it wakes you up, and then you just can't go back to sleep. You look over at the clock, you've had 2 or 3 hours, and now you know you're going to be up the rest of the night. And that's pretty difficult as well, because being able to go back to sleep, of course, is just as important as falling asleep in the first place. Without being able to go to sleep, you're not going to be able to get the amount of rest that you need, and it's going to cause a bunch of difficulties with you. So now we're going to talk about what to do if you're not getting good quality sleep. Because, I mean, what's the good about talking about a problem if we can't offer you any kind of solutions, right?
Okay, so first of all, and foremost, we've got to set a consistent schedule. I know it sounds kind of boring when we think about it, but we need to schedule a particular time that we're going to go to bed and wake up every single day. And this includes the weekends. When we think about this, it seems, again, pretty boring, but it actually sets a little clock that's inside of our body that helps us cue when to wake up and when to go to sleep and make sure that we get enough rest. So we have to look at our schedule and figure out a time that we can say 100%, this is the time I know I'm going to be able to go to bed by, and we set that as our bedtime. And then we turn around on the opposite end and we schedule a set time every day that we're going to get up no matter what. The next thing is, don't be like Jack and watch TV. And the blue light from the electronics can interfere with our sleep patterns. So try to turn off your TV and your phone at least 2 hours before you go to bed. Try listening to some podcasts or complete a puzzle, maybe read a book that's not required reading. And You can do household chores, but nothing stress inducing or anything that'll raise your heart rate. So don't go out and mow the lawn. Do your laundry, wash some dishes, maybe go for a light walk, lay out your clothes for the next day, pack your bag, your backpack. Whatever you need to do, we just want to do things that are just kind of low key, things that aren't going to get our heart rate up and that aren't stressful. And we want to try to keep our homework earlier in the evening and try to limit this time to tasks that are less stressful and anxiety producing. If we try to do homework right up until the time we go to bed, we're not going to be able to get our mind clear when it's time for sleep.
Right. Something else we found is that in particular strategies of being able to get good amounts of sleep is light makes a big difference. So getting exposure to light early in the day, bright light, sunlight, helps you to feel alert, helps you to feel awake, helps you to get moving. But that could also be problematic in the evening. So what health researchers have recommended is that you have dimmer lights at night. Try to expose yourself to a lot of light, artificial, and sunlight throughout the morning and afternoon. But as the evening progresses, dim those lights. Try to sleep in a dark environment. Try not to have any light on if at all possible. And be in a dark environment because that signals to your brain that there's no light, it's time for sleep. Also, try not to eat too close to when you are sleeping. I mean, if you get hungry, eat a healthy snack that's easy to digest, like a banana and nut butter, oatmeal, Greek yogurt with berries, or even a protein smoothie. Sometimes you can have a different beverage. Like, for example, I have a friend that likes a warm glass of milk. And I've never enjoyed that, but he does, and it works for him. So if that's what works for you, go for it. This is a big one. Reduce caffeine, alcohol, and tobacco intake, especially close to time for sleep. Caffeine and tobacco are stimulants, and taking caffeine increases your heart rate. It does all other sorts of things, and it can make it more difficult for you to sleep. You don't want to make your brain dependent on alcohol either for sleep, because if you do that, then you'll need to drink to sleep, and it sets off a very bad precedent, a very bad pattern for health.
Also, alcohol, when we sleep after we've drank alcohol, when we become dependent upon it, it actually decreases the quality of sleep. So even though you're actually sleeping, you're not getting restful sleep, so your sleep isn't rejuvenating in the same way. So you lose a lot of those benefits in the cognitive increase, the focus increase that we would typically have associated with sleep. Next, we want to create a sleep before sleep routine. And this is basically making a list of things that you do before you go to sleep every night. About an hour before you head to bed, create a signal like drinking your favorite caffeine-free hot beverage, like the warm milk you mentioned, to signal to your body that it's time to wind down for bed. And then follow a set routine like brushing your teeth, and then maybe taking a shower, changing into your pajamas, but do the same things in the same order every single day. And what we do there is kind of like Pavlov did with his dogs. We create an association and actually condition ourselves to start becoming sleepy when we do those order of things.
One other thing that's very important is keeping your sleep space as stress-free as possible. Try as best as you can to not do homework in bed. Try to avoid doing anything in bed other than sexual intimacy and sleep. If you're having trouble sleeping and you're in bed, get up, walk around, do something different for a while, then reattempt to go to bed after a while. Try to avoid arguments and stressful interactions around time for sleep. Those, of course, can raise your blood pressure, can cause you worry and stress, and those, once again, will reduce the quality of your sleep or make it difficult to go to sleep. Also, keep a notebook next to your bed and write down anything that pops in your mind that you need to remember. So one of the things that can keep me up at night is when I have a list of things I need to do and I'm like, oh, I forgot to do this, or I need to do this first thing. Roll over, write it down on my notebook. It's really great to have a little notebook to keep beside your bed. Another thing you can do is, of course, be active earlier in the day. It's better to hit the gym in the morning than late at night, because if you're hitting the gym late at night, there's always that bounce and energy you get right after you're done with the gym. And, after you're done polishing off your guns, getting those big gains, you want to make sure that you relax, you have the time to rest. And so working out, even just taking a long walk earlier in the day, can help you fall asleep and stay asleep. It's recommended that you don't do anything 3 hours before you go to sleep. So no real big physical activity right before you go to sleep, because that could keep you up later at night. Also, don't watch the clock. Watch pot never boils, watch clock never fades you to go to sleep. So if you can't sleep, if you start watching the clock, you get involved in what we call clock math. It's stress inducing and can make falling asleep harder. Do something relaxing instead, like reading a book or listening to music instead.
And finally, we've said it before and we will say it again. Self-care, self-care, self-care. Eating a balanced diet, exercise, managing your stress, doing the things that you like to do simply for the fact that you like doing them. Making sure of taking care of yourself every single day, to getting in those self-care snacks. Those are the things that will help you reduce your anxiety, reduce your stress, and help your sleep duration and quality. And that'll help tremendously. And finally, if none of these tactics that we've listed work, please see your healthcare provider. You may have an underlying sleep disorder or sleep apnea, which could be affecting the duration and quality of your sleep. And that's not something that can be addressed through any of these tactics. So that's definitely something you want to get your provider to check out.
All right, well, that's all we have this week. Thanks again, miners, and we can't wait to talk to you again soon. Take care.
Have a great day. For more information about mental health and wellness, contact Student Wellbeing at 204 Norwood Hall. And you can also give us a call at 573-341-4211.
The song Happy Days is brought to us by music from www.free-stock-music.com.